Hello again, gentle viewers. Now, before I go on to Barmy Arnie, I just want to mention quickly about a certain spaff sheikh who's made a video about me, and this particular spaff sheikh's video is doing the rounds in his political circle. Now, I'm not going to mention who he is because it'll give him more publicity. But the reason this guy's made this video about me is because he doesn't think I should be asking people to help support my channels by buying me a beer. And the reason this guy thinks I shouldn't be asking people to support my channel is because I'm not really an activist, I'm just a silly little YouTuber. Now, he knows as well as I do that if it wasn't for this particular silly little YouTuber, then his channel wouldn't have grown as much as it has. And despite all that, this guy has in his About section on his channel a PayPal and Patreon account which he asks you to kindly donate to. What an absolute hypocrite. Anyway, that's enough about him. Of course, the reason I have started using the Buy Me a Coffee app is because my channels have been demonetized by YouTube because they've told me my channel is harmful. Yes, I guess the truth always hurts, doesn't it? Yet they still place adverts on my work and they still make money from my work, and I don't think that's fair. And that's the reason I have set up the Buy Me a Coffee, Buy Me a Beer app. Of course, it's not mandatory, but it's my way of giving them in Silicon Valley a kick in the bollocks. So that's that. Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, this guy is a massive disappointment for me personally, because when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, he was kind of like a hero of mine. I absolutely loved his films. They were action-packed, they were funny, and he always kicked the shit out of the bad guys and the aliens. And pretty much all the movies he did prior to Terminator 2 in 1992 and before that were just fantastic. You had Commando, Predator, Total Recall, Running Man, The Terminator, Conan the Barbarian. The list goes on. Everything before Terminator 2 was fantastic. Everything afterwards is just shite. And quite frankly, I didn't give a shit if his acting was wooden. To me, he was hard as nails, funny, and always won at the end. And he had this fantastic, positive, mental attitude, and that's why he was a big hero of mine when I was a kid. So me being a conservative and a Trump supporter, you can imagine my disappointment when he came out and spoke against Trump and pretty much everything conservative, which is shocking because when he came over to the United States, because of course he is an Austrian immigrant, I remember a story he was saying on film about how he saw Richard Nixon and the Republican Party, which are of course the United States versions of the Conservatives here in the UK. And so he became a lifelong Republican. He also became the governor of California, so he's very much involved in politics. But again, going back to his anti-Trump stance, I found that quite shocking considering his political compass. Because you would think the patriotism shown by Trump and the way he put his country, the United States, first, you'd think someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger would gravitate towards him, but he didn't. But of course, Arnie is a celebrity, and he was rubbing shoulders with the lefty woke wankers in California during his time there as mayor. So I think probably, and in all likelihood, he will definitely gravitate towards the Democrats politically. I can see that happening. So he made little videos, and they were all slagging off Trump and his supporters, comparing his reign to that of Hitler, the Nazi regime in the 30s. I don't know how, by the way. But then again, he adopted the lefty mantra of everyone they don't like is literally Hitler, and it makes no sense whatsoever. And he made that weird video that rambled on for quite a long time where he compared Trump to Hitler. And I think he compared freedom to the tempering of a sword. He was saying that Trump was divisive and the people who supported him were divisive, and it's better to be together like a sword because the more you bang it, the more stronger it becomes, or something daft like that. Of course, if you knew anything about tempering swords and metal, the more you hit it, the more you temper it, the more weaker it becomes and becomes brittle. So his argument was basically bullshit. So anyway, it turns out Arnie is a big, massive fan of the establishment's stance on that thing we're not allowed to talk about. And he was on one of the news channels doing another little rant about it where he said, "Screw your freedom," to the people who aren't very much a fan of face coverings.
And so therefore, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've studied this issue. I know exactly how to create this peak and all this stuff. There's no one that knows more about a bicep than I do because I studied this issue for 50 years. And the same is also with the virus. There are people out there that are experts that study this year after year after year, and that are experienced, like Dr. Fauci, that has been in this, probably for his entire life. I mean, why would you not believe someone like that? But I think people should know there is a virus here. It kills people. And the only way we prevent it is to get vaccinated, to wear masks, to do social distancing, washing your hands all the time, and not just to think about, well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom. Because with freedom comes obligations and kind of responsibilities.
Now, he followed that up with this tweet, okay? And this is quite important to what he says. This country gave me everything. I often tell people not to call me self-made. I prefer to call myself American-made. My success would have been impossible without the principles of the United States and the generosity of Americans. And this tweet, ladies and gentlemen, was after he said, don't be a schmuck, put on a mask. Screw your freedoms. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, is worth $500 million. So Arnie can give me $500 million and you can lock my ass up in my mansion and you'll never see my rich ass again. You see, his free and your free are two very different things. Arnold Schwarzenegger hasn't had to sacrifice jack shit. And his tweet completely contradicts that don't be a schmuck, put on a mask, screw your freedoms. Because if it wasn't for the freedoms of the United States, he wouldn't be in the situation he is now, worth $500 million, sitting in huge mansions, living a carefree, debt-free life. I mean, it's almost like something a wealthy socialist would tell you. There are plenty of middle-aged, privileged socialists on social media who have made their money, are comfortable, never want for anything again. They own their houses, they get cars every year, different cars every year. They're wealthy, they're comfortable, they're happy. And they've gained all this wealth thanks to capitalism. And yet, here they are on social media pushing for socialist policies, which means you, the poor people, have to queue up for bread while they're okay. It's wrong, isn't it? And it's now a well-known fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger's father was a member of Hitler's Brown Shirts and served as a first sergeant in the Wehrmacht. And we all know what the Nazis are like with freedoms. They told people to screw their freedoms as well. I mean, the neck on this guy to tell people to screw their freedoms at a time like this is just unbelievable. It's crass and it's completely out of touch with what the masses are saying and what the masses want with regards to this issue we're not allowed to talk about. So yeah, I think old Arnie here is a bit of a secret lefty dickhead, if you ask me. So there we go, that's my video. Hope you like. Please comment, share, subscribe. I believe I'm also shadow banned at the moment. But there we go, that's YouTube for you. So please comment, share, subscribe, share my stuff everywhere. The Luftwaffe don't like it that you share my stuff. They hate it that my channel is growing again. And of course, if you would like to help support this silly little YouTuber's channels, if you like what I do, if you believe in free speech, if you want to support my channels, then it's not mandatory, then buy me a beer. Neither YouTube nor Google see a penny of what you give me, and that's the best bit. Anyway, that's it. I'm off. Oh, and please remember to sign the petition to help the Gurkhas in their long fight to get an equal pension to other British soldiers. They deserve it, and it's the least we can do for them. The link for that is down below also. And until my next video, Roger Trout.